Good morning, everyone. Yeah, that's right. Let's get fired up. I hope everyone is enjoying this amazing 50th CDA convention. I want to welcome everyone to Washington, D.C. I am Emma Chrisman, and I am the president of Howard University's College Democrats. Last year this time, I interned with the DNC and Tamia Booker. And today, I am honored to introduce a man that exemplifies public service, preserves the environment, and strives for excellence. This year's CDA Initiative service is something this man is no stranger to. He began his career of public service when he took a year off of law school to volunteer with missionaries in Honduras. There, he was a principal to a small Catholic school for teenagers. Upon graduating from Harvard, his service continued when he practiced law in Richmond for 17 years, representing people who have been denied housing opportunities. He has won numerous precedent-setting cases and was recognized by local, state, and national organizations for his fair housing advocacy. During his tenure as governor, Virginia has been recognized as the most business-friendly state in America, the top-performing state government in America, and the state where a child is most likely to have a successful life. Virginia has one of the highest median incomes and one of the lowest unemployment rates in the nation. He has dedicated the last year of his administration to a Renew Virginia initiative, which will focus on reducing greenhouse gases, protecting the environment, and developing green energy and green-collar jobs in Virginia. He has helped Virginia Democrats regain 2 U.S. Senate seats, a majority of Virginia's congressional delegation, and control of the state Senate. He is a husband, a father of 3 teenagers, a role model, and an inspiration to students, lawyers, and politicians everywhere. And I am sure he will be an inspiration to all of you. Please join me in welcoming the 70th Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia and the DNC Chairman, Governor Kaine.
Have a seat. Well, this is wonderful. The only problem is I can't really see you. The way they've got this set up, I'm kind of looking out at, since I can't see you, I'm assuming this crowd is about 85,000 people. Is that pretty much about what we have from all that noise and excitement and enthusiasm? It's great to be here with the CDA at your annual meeting. I want to thank Emma for her nice introduction and thank everybody associated with CDA for inviting me to come and just share with you. I've been looking, thank you, that's great, I like that. I've been reading a little bit about the program the last few days. I know there's been community service, there's been all kinds of policy dialogue as well as political training, and it really is wonderful to see you from all over the United States. Had a chance to visit with the officers for a few minutes, and so it's great to come and have a chance to share a vision, to thank you for your work, and to talk about what's to come, because we are in the midst of a historic moment of our making. A historic moment of our making, and we'll be held accountable for what we do to really turn it into a transformative moment. So a few thank yous before I begin. I want to acknowledge first again Emma for her nice introduction. I want to acknowledge being on the GW campus. President Stephen Knapp, the president of GW, is here. Why don't you give him a round of applause if you would. I'm trying to stay in his good graces because my son will be a sophomore at GW next year. So my son Nat, who was a freshman last year, who with GW Young Democrats worked very, very heavily on the Obama campaign, especially canvassing in the Northern Virginia neighborhoods that are easy to get by public transit from here. He's really enjoyed GW, and I'm really happy that Stephen is here with us. Katie Naranjo and Alex Schierenbeck, your officers, who are doing a great job. Katie from Texas and Alec from Grinnell. So I know they're doing great. Both are real dynamos with CDA, but also have done great work on campaigns in their respective states. We have 2 interns who have been working at the DNC this summer with the CDA operation, who are both here, Janice Ruttenberg and Erica Breeze, who really worked hard to pull this together, so give them a round of applause. GW student Corey Struble, who is kind of our host. Corey, thank you. Where's Corey? There he is. Okay, Corey. Great job. I met Corey earlier. And then I also understand that Frank Chi, who I'm not sure that I met, but Frank has also really worked on the technical side of pulling all this together. So Frank, are you here? All right, we'll give him a round of applause anyway. He's a good guy. So those are some thank yous to particular, but I'll begin with thank yous to all of you. You all worked so very hard this past November, and it was a truly transformative election. It's one of the 2 or 3 most important and historic presidential elections in our nation's history. I don't know yet that we fully grasp how historic it is. You know, we were in the middle of it. We were in the trenches. I worked very, very hard for the president in 15 states, but especially in my own state, trying to get the electoral votes of Virginia behind a Democrat for the first time since 1964. And so we were aware of just, you know, how historic it was, but I still kind of find myself kind of startled and thinking about the amazing amount of work that we did. And so much of the work was done by CDA, by young Democrats, by new voters, young voters, in really amazing record numbers. We saw this in Virginia. We saw it all over the country. I know how deeply the president feels committed to the young people of America who supported his campaign in epic numbers. If you just look at the number of young people that voted or youth turnout in 2008, it was at such a spike above what it had been in previous years. But we're going to make sure it's not a spike compared to subsequent years. We're going to keep youth engagement and activity high, but I will begin just by saying how much the president, the whole White House team, and how much we at the DNC appreciate the good work that you've done. Let me tell you a little bit about me. Emmett told you a little bit about my background. I was a civil rights lawyer for 17 years. I started off public service working as a missionary in Honduras when I was in law school. Never thought I'd be in politics. If you had told me I'd been in politics when I was in law school, I would have said, you're crazy. If you had said I would have been chairman of the Democratic Party, I would have said, what are you smoking? You know, I was really into helping others and did that as a civil rights lawyer, but then one day I got mad at my city council. This was in 1993. My city council in Richmond, where I was working as a civil rights lawyer, I thought was too racially divided. In a community where I thought the rank and file actually worked together pretty well, but our leadership was divided. And so I was a naive, you know, 35-year-old civil rights lawyer, and I thought, well, I can help people work together. And that's how I got into it, to try to help folks out. And so here I am 6 elections and nearly 16 years later still doing it, and now doing it in this great way at the DNC. I was the first statewide official outside Illinois to support President Obama's campaign. I had gotten to meet the president when he was Senator Obama. He had been the senator for 4 or 5 months. He came to Virginia, just across the river in Arlington. I don't know if any of you have been to a place called the Clarendon Ballroom. It's a great place for concerts and dances just right across the river. He came there to do a fundraiser for me. And his office had reached out and said, I know you're running for governor, and we had some staffers who knew one another, and they came over. The night before the fundraiser, I got a copy of his book, Dreams from My Father, which I hadn't read. So I wanted to have something to talk to him about. So I kind of sped read, you know, skipping all the adverbs and adjectives and just reading as quickly as I can. And I realized that he and I have some things in common. So when I met Senator Obama that day at the fundraiser, I said, we've got 4 things in common. He goes, really? What are those 4 things? I said, well, we're both Harvard Law School graduates. Now, you were the editor of the Law Review, and I went to a lot of Red Sox games. But our diplomas look exactly the same. All right, good, some Red Sox fans. Our diplomas look exactly the same. So second thing we have in common is we were both civil rights lawyers. He did voting rights work in Chicago, and I did fair housing work in Richmond for 17 years. Third thing is that we both spent formative time abroad. His time in Indonesia and then my time in Honduras were both very pivotal experiences kind of in the way we directed our lives after. But I said the most important thing we have in common is this. When you give a speech and you say your dad is from Kenya and your mom is from Kansas, my mom and my maternal grandparents are from the same tiny town that your mom and grandparents are from, El Dorado, Kansas. I don't know if we got any Kansans in the house, right? El Dorado, Kansas is a very small farm town right on the Kansas-Oklahoma border. And so when we realized that our mothers and grandparents from the same town, that kind of struck up a good tie. And I came to appreciate his talents, thought his talents would be the right mix for the country, what the country would need in 2008, backed his campaign, campaigned in 15 states, helped Virginia's electoral votes go blue for the first time since '64. And then I made what was a critical strategic mistake.